Hey there, and welcome back to the Complicated Kids podcast. I'm your host, Gabrielle Nicolay. I am a toddler whisperer, a speech therapist, and a parent coach. And today, Lisa Kays is back. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
I am always really happy when we talk. And before we hit record, you said what we were going to do. And I was like, I love this so much because I love to tell people what I think. Um, Before we jump into our Q&A today, though, tell the good people who you are, what you do, and why we're even having this conversation.
Yeah. So I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I work as a therapist in private practice in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland, and weirdly, Oregon, very randomly, Oregon. And I work with people across the lifespan on the general addiction, depression, anxiety. And I have a lot of, because I am a parent of neurodivergent kids, I've learned a lot from people like you. And I work with a lot of parents now in my practice, both of neurodivergent kids and neurotypical kids.
It's awesome. And so a while back, you were like, hey, this keeps happening. Can we talk? And I was like, of course, always. So tell, just set up the premise here and then we'll jump right in.
Yeah. So it actually was just to set up how emotionally palpable as a therapist, I rarely break, meaning I don't do a lot of like, oh, me too, or let me tell you the story about me. Like I don't do a lot of that ever. And I had this parent in my office about when I emailed you like a month ago, and she's talking about how her kids have this very specific thing around attention that I had just been noticing in my kids. And I was trying to figure, because our kids are both, kind of neurodivergent. There's some stuff going on. And I had been wondering, like, is this just kids or is this like my kids? And she starts talking about this. And I was like, girl, it was the first time ever in a decade that I was like, girl, me too. And we were both trying to figure it out. And I said, you know what? I don't know, but I got somebody I'm going to email. And so I emailed you and you were like, yeah, let's talk about this. So the question we had was, she had noticed that if I am like on my phone, my kids will like be in the house playing quietly, or if we're in the car and it's silent, like there's not, I don't have anything on the radio or I just have music on the radio. If I'm doing something that doesn't require concentrated attention, my kids will kind of do whatever they're doing and play and whatever. But the minute I pick up a book, or if I put on a podcast in the car that I actually need to like focus on, anything, if I pick up something requiring like dedicated attention, all of a sudden the kids are talking to me, or they will come from another room. It's like a magnet to interrupt and get my attention. And I'm like, why? How do they know to only do this? Literally, we can be in a silent car for 30 minutes, but the minute I turn the podcast on, mom, I was just randomly wondering about this thing. So can you please, is this neurodivergent kids? Is it all kids? What is this?
It's so awesome. It's like my favorite thing. Okay. So probably there's like a concrete explanation, and I'm trying to decide even as I'm talking now. I think I'm going to go straight into the energetics of it because this is, and we'll do some background first. So here's what we know. And when I say what we know, this is like partially the world according to Gabrielle and partially what I have gleaned from like research and child development books and my own observations over the years. Okay, so you're getting a mix of all of this. And that's how I roll. Your child, and if you're listening to this, your child came into this world with your buttons pre-programmed. So
This is not what I was expecting the answer to be, but I'm into it.
okay, so you each your children have your imprint. They know all your buttons. That is why when your child cries in the toy store, it activates you in a way that no other child crying in the toy store will, right?
Okay.
There is a very real connection between parents and children. And so That gets activated when your kid is crying, when your kid has a problem, immediately you want to solve it. Um, and it is part of co-regulation, right? So when we are energetically connected in whatever that looks like, I don't know, it's invisible, right? Sometimes it's physical because they're like on your head and like draped all the way over you. Okay. So they're like literally sucking your life force out of you sometimes, is how it feels. Okay. But that is all co regulation. So it's, I need you. I need you to be listening to me. I need you to be with me. I need you. And I, child, am going to stay connected to you, parent, by whatever means necessary. If that means I got to pull on your arm because I see that you're on the phone, I'm going to do that. If that means that you went in the other room and I am not sure what you're doing or who you're with, I'm going to follow you into the other room. And I think by extension, what happens when you turn your attention to something else, that gets felt. And so when you turn off the part of your brain or the part of your whatever energy system that is holding the collective space for your children in the car, when you leave that building energetically, your kids feel it.
So that's why, because when I'm on my phone, like doing the grocery list or whatever, it's like I can put that down in five, right? I don't need like it. So that's probably why, like, that's not, they may not be experiencing that as a threat to my attention or like me going. Whereas, like, if I'm trying to focus on a book or I'm focusing on a podcast, then I'm really, and not to say that the phone is not a distraction, because I know that's a whole thing where parents are like snubbing their kids at the phone, but that's what I was like, there's something about my actual sustained attention focusing on something versus like, oh, I'm just doing this thing I can set down in 2 seconds.
Yes.
And that is what they're feeling. And then it's like, wait, you need to come back. So they're
Yes.
pulling me back.
Yes. And I do, yes. And I actually, as you're talking, I have full body chills from that. And that's now I recognize that as a sign that like we're speaking the truth. Um, as weird as that might sound to some people, that's okay. There is like an energetic container that we're holding when we're with our kids that is real cozy for them. They like it in there. Feels good, feels safe,
Mhm.
feels good. And again, when we vacate that, allow it to collapse by removing our attention, um, then that they feel it. It's uncomfortable because now they're in their own space. And particularly if you have a neurodivergent kid, right? Those guys, we know they are not comfortable in their own bodies. They are kind of walking around half upregulated most of the time, not really kind of in control of their bodies necessarily. They need anchor points. And if their anchor point leaves, that's very distressing, or it can be.
So even if I'm just in the car's quiet and I don't feel like I'm doing anything, this, because I was thinking it has something to do with, my kids, because their orchids have more sensitive. I was like, there's something about they're sensitive. But you're saying with any kid, that even though I'm not doing anything, I am doing something because I'm available. And when I turn on the podcast, I become unavailable.
That's
And their
totally,
system, even though they're probably not even conscious of it, goes, ooh, let's get her back just to be sure.
totally correct. And I do think that orchids are tuned into that level of communication, of togetherness, way more so than others. Many orchids, have complicated kids, whatever you want to call them, have had language issues. If you've had a language issue, if you haven't been able to hear or haven't been able to express yourself or haven't been able to understand what people are saying to you, you're paying attention to other levels of communication, right?
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And so
Because
the
you develop that and it doesn't like turn off just because my son figured out, he had a speech delay. So he started speaking later. It's not like his being able to be tuned into those other layers he needed for the first 4 years of his life just went away. is
Exactly.
still tuned in.
That's right. And by the way, when they are so practiced at tuning into those layers, that becomes the primary channel, and there's way more information there for someone who is not, where language is not their primary strength, or they're like something that comes easily to them. He may have, and this is true for lots of kids, they work really hard to acquire language, but it's not their like go-to skill in the same way that it is for many neuronormative folks, where we just like logic the heck out of ourselves with our language, and we forget about all of the nonverbal body language, again, energetic cues that we are constantly giving off, right? And we ignore this. You ignore, well, not you, but we tend to ignore those kinds of feelings. You're walking down the street at night and the hair on your neck stands up, and you think, well, don't be silly. Don't be racist. Don't be sexist. Don't be whatever. Don't be afraid. You don't have to be afraid. And sometimes that's true. And sometimes you should be afraid. And so
we need to at least ask ourselves, like you just said about the chills, like at least pause and be like, oh, the hair on my neck stood up. I need to maybe take that seriously and think about, where am I? Is there something before I just dismiss myself and say, oh, this is some reaction to something from my childhood, to say like, hold on, like, why might that have happened? Like there may be something, because we know from that, was it the book Blink, or, that we process information before we're consciously aware of it on all these levels. Oh, that is what Blink is about. And you're talking about kids doing that.
Yes.
Which makes sense, because of course they are.
Well, right. I mean, if we think about a baby, right?
Yeah.
Baby doesn't have
that's what they got.
That's all they have. And they're, putting things in their mouths, and they're touching things, and they're looking at things, and they're rolling around, and they're experiencing the world from the bottom up. That's a bottom up processing. And then somehow we think that once we get to top down processing, where I'm able to logically think about the world and put that into language and reason, that somehow all of that bottom up processing goes away. No, it does not.
As much as our culture tries to get it to go away and tries to kind of encourage us to not take it as seriously, or, and to be more cognitive, it doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. And complicated kids are the ones who will show you that is really true. And so that's why
they're more tuned into it, probably.
They're way more tuned in.
So my other two questions are actually like branches off of this. So let's talk about this. This will apply to all parents, but I want to talk about moms, because I think it's just harder on women because of the messaging around women and the stuff around moms causing all the kids problems and yada, yada. So I'm now imagining all these moms who are already exhausted and beleaguered and are working and also trying to take care of kids. And they're all listening to this and they're going, oh my God, I should never, ever stop paying attention to my child. I should never burst the energetic bubble. Because I have all these moms in my practice who I'm trying to explain, like, being a martyr and like never taking care of yourself is also not good for your kids. And they get that intellectually, because we all know what it's like to be on the other end of like an overwhelmed, right? We understand that, but it's hard. It's a hard sell for moms to understand. And what I would love to hear from you, because I'm trying to sell it to them as like someone who understands women's mental health and the effects of chronic stress and blah, 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 blah. But can you talk about, from the perspective of the expert on children, why it is important for parents, we'll say parents, but women, moms, really listen, this is for you, that we do let ourselves out of the energetic bubble and we do tend to our own needs. And can you talk about that from the kid perspective?
Yeah. And I'll talk about it as regards the first question, which is, I just want a minute to myself. Let me scoot out because nobody knows or is going to notice. And then womp womp, they caught your bluff, right? Come back. Okay. So that's a form in some ways of like dissociation, right? Like escape, numbing, whatever, right?
Mhm.
We're sneaking it.
Yeah.
We're trying to sneak it in. Okay. And kids are going to be onto that. At the same time, yes, what you're saying is 100 million% true, because number one, if we get to the place of burnout, that's no good for anybody. Stressed out parents who are shooting all over themselves are emitting a signal, an energetic signal that is very disorienting and incoherent to their children. Okay. Your kids are reading your energetic signals all the time. And so in the first question, we're talking about like, am I present or absent? But we can also talk about, am I coherent or incoherent? So at bedtime, when all you want to do is have your kid go the F to sleep, and if you
Very
come at it,
relatable. It's so relatable.
relatable, right? If you come at it from that energy, what happens?
Nightmare.
It takes 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the result of, so you're in the energetic ring with them. You're there.
And you're acting all like, let's read the book. Let's like, let's just, and I'm acting so calm, Gabrielle. I'm being so chill. Why is it not working? I'm like through gritted teeth, like, oh my God, let's read the Bernstein Bears. This is great. Why is it not working?
Oh, yeah, it's so funny. For the same reason it wasn't working before, right? Which is the coherent the energy is not aligned with the message. So in the first example, the energy disappears. In this example, the energy is present and it's not coherent.
Right.
Your
So I'm saying
words.
I'm here, but I'm not here. That's the incoherence. Or I'm calm and regulated for bedtime, except I'm not. Like I'm faking it. And that's what you're saying is like kids know and neurodivergent kids will know more.
Totally.
Yeah.
You cannot fake calm, and therefore you really don't need to try. Actually, if you don't have your stuff together, be coherent in the fact that you don't have your stuff together.
So you're saying it's better for me to say to my kids, I'm irritable, I'm cranky, I'm tired, I'm having trouble with this. I just need you to go to bed because I am exhausted versus let's go to bed, Timmy. Everything's fine. I'm fine. You're saying like it's better to just say, Mom's having a bad night. I'm struggling. I'm tired. I'm irritable,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
that's what I was hoping. It's so counterintuitive to parents, but I will say I have been working on that for a couple years right now, and the difference is palpable in my children. Like it, but it's something that I think if you're not doing it, it's very, especially for moms, it is very difficult to believe that that's an okay thing to do, to ever say, I'm not okay, I'm cranky, I am not loving every single minute of my motherhood experience with you. We're not supposed to say that. Come on.
Yeah, that true. We're not supposed to say that. Somehow that's, antithetical to being a
Right.
parent. And
Even though every human being on the planet doesn't love everything all the time, I don't want my kids to feel like they have to love school all the time or love soccer practice all the time. I want my kids to be able to be like, I didn't want to go to practice today. Like I like soccer generally, but I didn't like it today. Okay.
right, but that's complex. That's a both and situation, right, Lisa? I like soccer, broadly speaking, and today I didn't like it. That's a very nuanced both and position. And what our brains want, what our primitive brains want, right, is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and simplify things. Keep it simple. Okay. That's kind of at a basic level how we're all going through life, unless we become aware of those patterns, which is what you guys do in therapy, right? What I do in coaching. And then we're like, oh, well, that's actually not how it works. Right. But we kind of put that simplified model onto our kids. We want our kids to seek pleasure, be happy, avoid pain, never have to struggle, and learn things in a time period that would be convenient for me as a parent who's showing you how to do them. And
Or a system that's telling me as a parent, your kid needs to be doing this now. There's
exactly,
that part too. Yeah.
exactly. And so that's part of it. But this other notion that you're getting at, which is like, I'm supposed to be like this beautiful beatific Madonna at all times with my children.
The Stepford mother every minute.
Well, that's the thing. And when you turn it into that metaphor, then you're like, oh, I don't want that.
Mm-mm.
Right? That's really unhealthy. And then there are gradations of like from really unhealthy to like slightly unhealthy and maybe right. But so here's the thing with complicated kids, with neurodivergent kids, they can spot your BS, they can spot inconsistency, they can spot non-coherence, inauthenticity, whatever you want to call that, non-alignment, right? They can spot it from a mile away in their sleep. So when we're trying to do this, like, it's fine, I'm happy to read this book to you.
For the millionth time with the words in exactly the right inflection because I can't change them ever. We have to start over. Loving every minute of this.
Right? So now like, okay, clearly that's not sustainable. We understand. But the other piece of this is now, well, so what am I supposed to do? Just like be zen all the time and do whatever my kid wants? Also, no. Mm-mm. So what I loved what you said about like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm irritable. I am not loving this right now. And I will stay with you because I am your parent and I am taking care of you and I choose to do that. Okay. So now we've been honest and we've neutralized resistance.
And what I will often build in as I've given myself permission to do this, which I think is helpful for kids, is like, I'm irritable right now or I'm tired and I want to make sure you understand it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep well. I had a hard day at work. It's not about you. And I want you to understand because I work with a lot of adults who have this sense of it's almost like gaslighting. It's like when the husband says to the wife or the wife is saying like, "Are you mad at me?" and it's like, "No, I'm fine." It's like people know it's like just say you're not fine. And I realized like, oh wait, I have to do that with my kids. I have to just say like, what you're picking up is right. I'm not at my best and it's not about you and I'm just not at my best right now.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And when you're owning that, again, without resistance, like, I wish this wasn't true, or I'm trying, I'm doing my best here, right? When you're owning that for yourself, now it's like, okay, well, and I recognize you're having an experience and I'm also having an experience and we can go through this together. It just softens everything.
Yeah.
And this is the kicker. And you tell me if you've noticed this. Kids will do what we want them to do when we say things like that, when we are honest with them about like, dude, I don't think I can hang with this book anymore. We're not asking permission. We're just making a statement that's in alignment with what's going on with us. They are, I don't know, you tell me, way likelier to like be like, it's okay, mama, I can read it by myself in my bed.
Yeah. 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 That's what I was thinking because I hadn't thought about it, but as I have given myself more permission over the last couple years to do both, to withdraw my attention when I need to like to make because I have imposed a real like I don't want to get burnt out. I don't want to so I'm much more likely to be like, no, I can't do that right now, but it means that when I'm present, I'm there. And the more I do that and the more that I do this kind of like, yeah, you're right, like I'm not at my best, the more regulated my kids are because I think they can trust and so then it's this virtuous cycle where I'm genuinely present and I'm not in a bad mood.
Yes.
It's like a
Okay.
win because there's more days where I'm like, oh, I'm not irritable because everybody is more, it's created, I think, a pretty virtuous cycle. But it's
Totally.
required me to put up with a lot of my own mom guilt and tolerate the like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be like taking care about, I should be, and to just be like, well, you can't do it all. So we're just going to be real. And it seems to be better for everybody, but it's
I
hard to trust that.
It's hard to trust it. And because it's unseen and there isn't a book for this, I think that's right. But you brought up a really interesting point that circles back to when you withdraw your attention, it's on purpose, right? And it's planned, and you've set people up with like what they need in order to be without you. And it doesn't always go well. This is not like, oh, thanks, mother, for parking me in the corner while you, whatever. And that practice on your part, on the parent's part, and on the child's part of like, actually, I, the parent, can withdraw my attention because I need to, and I need to take care of myself. And also, actually, I, the child, can in fact survive without my parent always holding the energetic container.
Well,
So,
and as a child, I don't have to carry the guilt of knowing I am overburdening, because we all know that feeling of you're overburdening somebody who's exhausted and burnout and martyring them. That's not a fun feeling to be opposite of. And it is something that I think is very difficult on the child side or on the other. And it's like they don't have to do that. And I think that. And what I've noticed in especially my 10-year-old, but even my 7-year-old is starting now, he will say, like, I need some space. And so he'll be like, I have to get, and I think that seems good for kids to be realizing that they can also be like, I need a minute. I'm out of here. I can't tolerate this. I'm like, I mean, I don't love when he leaves all the time, but it's like, good for you. Yeah, you're allowed to take a minute, take some space, go to your room, like, get that seems like good awareness for them.
yes. And when we model that for them, right, then
Right.
they learn what it feels like to tolerate a difficult emotion, advocate for yourself, and get yourself what you need. Are they always going to get it right? Absolutely not. Do we always get it right? Absolutely not. But like working toward, yes, having this be a connected environment where, a number of people who live together, by the way, if you live with somebody long enough, they're going to piss you off. Okay. Just like,
And disappoint you. I feel
yes,
like what it's teaching me and what so many of my adult clients struggle with is, am I allowed to disappoint other people, and can I survive being disappointed? And I feel like it's just like a master class. Me
yes,
giving my being like, my kids can be disappointed that I'm not available all the time, and they'll survive that. And from that they learn I can disappoint other people, which we have to do to be like functional, well people.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're in trouble if you can't disappoint other people.
yeah, yeah. I want to just point out, and then we have a third question, right?
Yeah.
Um, there is a range there. And so a lot of what I talk about and what we talk about at Raising Orchid Kids as well is this notion of a just right challenge, right? So if your kid is having meltdowns, epic meltdowns every night because dad, mom, whatever parent is going away for bedtime,
Yeah.
then we know we got to make a change because that's too stressful. And we know that a little bit of stress is okay. A medium amount of stress is okay for some amount of time. A heavy toxic load of stress is not okay for growing brains.
Yeah.
And so, it takes skill and practice to navigate among all of those stages. And so, particularly if you've got neurodivergent kids, that's complicated and hard. Don't do that alone.
No, and obviously it's, thinking about the systemic factors, like that it's easier for me now, right? Because my kids are older. This would have looked very different when they were, 1, 2, 3, that it's like, and that different people, families are resourced in different ways with like babysitters, grandparents, like other. And so this, I also don't want to give this idea of this magical, like, well, be sure that you're taking care of yourself and getting a massage, and there's something wrong with you if you can't do all of that. It's like, that's not, there's different systems, but this is more of like a mindset
That's right.
around just assuming it is bad if I, disappoint my children ever.
Yeah,
That's not making you a bad parent. You're potentially teaching really important skills, like relational skills.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. All right. What's the third
So
one?
this okay, so what, like, this kind of relates, I think, to the congruence thing, but a lot of parents also struggle with playing with their children. Um, and there's many, many reasons for this, but if you're, and this is something that I just put something on your Facebook group that we've struggled with, and especially with neurodivergent kids, it can be really hard to find an activity that the parent and the kid enjoy at the same time in the same moment. It has been a massive struggle in my family. Is it better for parents to fake enjoying an activity with their kid? Because, I see these messages on Instagram that it's like, play the video games, like, join them in what they're doing and you'll regret it later. And I'm kind of like, but is that great if I really hate video games for me to be faking? You know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not an either or.
Okay.
You don't have to love it or hate it. Can you find, I mean, it's awesome when you can find a game that you actually like to play. Okay. That's really cool without doing any kind of workaround or mindset
In
shifts.
my house, it took 10 years. It took a decade.
Congratulations. And can you find something? I work with people on this all the time, actually, with when I did my connection boot camp and this kind of thing. So can you find something that you do like about the experience? Is it fun to watch your kid have fun? Is it fun to feel, and this is going to be like a little bit twisted here, but is it maybe interesting? Fun is the wrong word. Is it interesting to feel terrible at something? And the reason I like that is because guess who feels terrible at things most of their days?
Neurodivergent kids.
Neurodivergent kids. So why not take a walk in their shoes? Why not get really uncomfortable playing this stupid video game that I cannot figure out the rules to, and my fingers don't work right, and I don't understand what's going on, and my kid is next to me having a delightful time because they're the expert and they know exactly how it works.
So you're saying to create a mindset shift where I'm not thinking about the thing that we are doing. I'm finding something else in the experience that can help me connect, which could be, there's probably a ton of different ways
There's
to
100
think about that and to kind of set that as my, like, I'm going to try to observe that, or I'm going to kind of try to get into their shoes and see what it, and I, as an improviser, I always believe we all could use more practice at being bad at things and letting, like, in this perfectionistic culture, at letting ourselves like be terrible at things, that if I, as a parent, say, this isn't about Zelda or Roblox, but this is about, like, I'm going to model for my kids that I can be like calm and regulated and be bad at something. And so can they.
Yeah. And maybe it involves also knowing your boundaries of like, yeah, I can stand to like I can stay regulated for about 5 minutes before my frustration tolerance is going to give out here, right? That's good to know too. And then, can you up it? Anytime it feels like, I know you know this, but I'll say it for the people listening. When your brain is serving you one or two options, it is lying to you. If there's only a right way and a wrong way, that is, you know that is untrue. There are hundreds of ways to go at anything. This is true of any problem, any decision that you're making. There are lots of different ways to come at things. And when we come at it from this like clamp down, well, there's one right way and one wrong way, and I don't want to do this and it's not fun, then just have your own number for a second. Be like, okay, all right. I don't like it, but I'm willing to accept that if I only see two ways, that something is up here.
Like, I'm going to maybe challenge myself to find three and four and see what happens. I'm not going to decide something or do something until I at least spend 2 days trying to think of, is there a three or four?
Exactly. And you probably won't be able to generate them in that moment of frustration because all of your executive function will be turned off.
Yeah.
And you'll be in a stress response, and that's all fine and good. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so glad that we did this.
Oh my God, Lisa, this was
This was like supervision for my client.
I
It's like
love it.
clinical supervision.
Well, if you're listening to this episode and you liked it, uh, send us an email, ask us a question, because if I hear from even just one of you, we will do this again because I have really enjoyed this. Um, and yeah, I mean, keep gathering data from your clients too, Lisa. Come on back anytime. This was
Yeah.
so fun. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.